I'm going to talk about our tree equity score and dive a little bit deep with you all here today. So I want to start by describing what the score is. It's a way to measure how well neighborhoods and cities are ensuring that the benefits of trees are reaching low-income communities, populations of color, and other populations that are particularly susceptible to extreme heat and other conditions. And you can see up here on the graphic on the right-hand side that we develop a score from 0 to 100. And I want to tell you a little bit about how that works, how we get there. We start with estimating a measure of need. To do that, we start by identifying a baseline target based on the region that we're in. And in the U.S., we generally are using 3 different types of ecoregion: forested, grassland, and desert. The tool that we're going to be working or looking at later is in Rhode Island, and that's focused, that's a forested ecoregion. But then we adjust that target based on population density. Population density is sort of our way to estimate what's possible in a place generally. Higher density places are going to have less space to plant trees. And so we want to honor that. We want to be ambitious in our goals and our goal setting, but we also want to be realistic. So higher density areas are going to adjust that goal lower, and lower density areas we're going to adjust up a little bit higher. And we combine that target, that neighborhood goal that we set for every neighborhood, with the existing tree canopy cover in that neighborhood. We have a variety of different data sources that we use to get this, but in Rhode Island, we were able to get high-resolution LiDAR data and process that into high-resolution 7-class land cover with the University of Vermont Spatial Analysis Lab. So that difference between the neighborhood goal and what's existing is how we get the tree canopy gap. That's our measure of need. And we combine that with a measure of priority. So we mostly use demographic indicators for this: income, unemployment, race, seniors and children, and also combine that with a measure of the urban heat island using surface temperature analysis. We combine those measures equally to get a priority index for tree equities. Now, those of you that are involved, and I'm sure there's many of you that are involved in urban forestry forest master plans, recognize and sort of see the similarities between our score and a lot of the work that you're doing on a place-by-place basis. What we're doing here is trying to standardize this to create a measure that cities can look to see how well they're doing. And the way we do this is combine need and priority to create a score. So in Rhode Island, there are about between 750 and 800 neighborhoods in the urbanized area. That's the census-defined urbanized area. For each one of those, we develop a score, a normalized score, based on your municipality between 0 and 100. A score of 100 means that your neighborhood does not have a tree canopy gap. So you've sort of achieved tree equity in the way that we've defined it. The lower the score, the higher the priority for planting. That's the results of the analysis. But how do we deliver that? So we're going to deliver that in 2 different ways, to start at least, and we hope to continue to build on this. Come May, we will deliver a tree equity score explorer for the entire country, for every urbanized area in the country. That's about 150,000 neighborhoods, where about 71% of the population of the country lives. We'll have this viewer available in May. We are also developing deep dive tools for the Tree Equity Score Analyzer, or what we call TESA, for the state of Rhode Island. We've already built it, and I'll be demoing that in just a moment. We are slated to deliver a TESA tool for the city of Richmond, Virginia. It's coming later this year, and we're hoping to to build this deep dive tool in conjunction with local stakeholders, with really deep stakeholder engagement in many other places across the country. These deep dive tools don't stop at the neighborhood scale. We get to parcel levels, ownership, public and private land, what the impact of a planting project might be based on carbon, stormwater, air quality, energy and heating and cooling, et cetera. So I think really deep dive way to really start planning out how you're going to increase your urban tree canopy cover for tree equity. So I'm just going to just run through a quick slide to sort of show how tree equity score plays out. So I highlighted 3 neighborhoods or census block routes in the city of Providence. I'm going to start in the top right here. We have a neighborhood with a tree equity score of 60 that has a priority index. And when we do our priority index, we normalize that between 0 and 1 and normalize that based on the city that we're in. So this neighborhood with a score of 60 has a priority index of 0.58 and a large tree canopy gap of 31%. That combination yields a score of 60 in the way we do our calculation. Just south of there's another neighborhood with a score of 56. It has a much higher priority index. So the higher the priority index, the closer it is to 1, the greater the priority and the lower the score that you have. So that's a higher priority of 0.72 and a tree canopy gap of 28%. Even though there's a slightly smaller gap there, although it's still very large, that priority index actually lowers the score and makes this a greater priority to plant in the way we've done our analysis. On the other sort of side of the spectrum, to the western part of the city, we highlighted a neighborhood that has a score of 90 with a much lower priority index and a much lower tree canopy gap. And that's how it gets that higher score of 90, that closer to achieving tree equity score. So now I'm going to try to share my screen and give you a 10-minute demo or so. Okay, so this is the tree equity score analyzer for Rhode Island. We call it TESA. So I'm going to zoom out real quick and then just quickly run through the different scales that we work in here. I zoomed out to the city level. This shows all of the municipalities in the urbanized areas of Rhode Island. You can zoom in here. This is the block group or neighborhood level, and it shows all of the neighborhoods. We can get down to the parcel level, where it highlights every parcel within that urbanized area and has a lot of information tagged to it. You can go even just a little bit further, and actually, because we have this really high resolution land cover data, actually down to a half a meter, we can actually look at and visualize the urban canopy of the entire place, the canopy across the city and across the entire region. So I'm going to just zoom back out, and we'll make our way back down. So I zoomed out to the city level again, and I want to just show that first, if you mouse over any place, and this is the same sort of the way the tool will function at every scale is, just mousing over any place will give you information in the info panel on the left-hand side. So I'm hovered over Warwick right now, which has a citywide tree equity score of 92. And you can do the same thing there. You also have the opportunity to see a report for each municipality as well. And you can get basic information about each city, all of the demographic indicators that we include in the tree equity score, as well as other localized measures that we work to include with our stakeholders in the We also have sort of basic impacts of each, of tree planting and of achieving certain thresholds and milestones around tree equity score. So, for example, in the city of Providence, in order to make sure every neighborhood achieves a tree equity score of 70, we need approximately, these are approximate numbers, 10,326 trees. And sort of estimate like what that looks like. What does that look like in terms of space, the amount of carbon sequestered and stored. And we have that for different thresholds as well. I'll come back to the tool now. So I want to just because we are limited in time, really come back to this neighborhood scale and show you a little bit what's going on here. Again, as I mentioned, as you mouse across, it'll give you the score on the left-hand side of the info panel, but it'll also provide you all of the basic information that we've collected, or the tree equity score indicators that we've collected here. You can visualize in a different way, though, if you want. You really are just interested in seeing like where the tree canopy, what's the breakdown of tree canopy cover in the area, where are the gaps greatest. You can look at things in that way. Where people in poverty, you can look at it thematically for a variety of different indicators. I'll come back to tree equity score here. Where you start to see the power of the application that was in our filtering ability. So we have, again, for all of the tree equity score indicators as well as some additional ones, you can filter to really highlight and look at the neighborhoods that are most important to you. So I'm just going to adjust here to a score of 70. So what that's done is now the map across the entire map is only showing neighborhoods that have a tree equity score of 70 or below. If your jam is tree canopy cover, you can look at only the neighborhoods that have less than a certain amount of tree canopy cover. I'm going to go back to this 70. You can combine those two, less than 70 and less than 10%. You can combine all of your different filters to get where you want to go. I'm going to stick with 70. Let's score 70 in Providence. And I said in Providence, that was a little giveaway here. You can select the municipality that you're interested in as well. So there's a lot of different ways to slice and dice the data to give you the visual that you need to help you figure out what your policy goals might be, what your project plan might look like at this neighborhood scale. I'm just going to keep it. I'm actually going to reset right now. I'm going to go back down to that 70 number again, the magic number for me. So I'm going to zoom in here into that parcel level at that once I've done some of the filtering. And you can see those filters hold once you set that. So it's still only looking at parcels that are within those 70 or less block groups. So as you get down to the parcel level, you can see we actually have calculated the percentage of tree canopy cover for each parcel, what's going on there. Then you can do additional filtering. You can look at ownership, public or private. You can look at only parcels within a certain watershed, or whether it is actually a school or anything like that. So there's other ways to filter as well. You can also start creating scenarios, which I've already created one for us, so we're going to dive into that in just a second. But as you can see, there's lots of different ways to slice and dice the data to get to what you're looking for. So to help tee us up for what Cassie is going to talk about in just a couple of minutes, I wanted to share a scenario and sort of work from a scenario that we've already started to build. I'm going to zoom back out real quick, and I'm going to clear our filters. I'm going to come over to this scenario tab over on the right-hand side and click the pre-built scenario that I already built. Building a scenario and building this scenario might take you a minute or two. It's very quick to set up. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. What you see is this is the neighborhood that Cassie's sort of generally been working in and has a plan for doing some tree planting over the next few years. And I've selected the all of the block groups or neighborhoods within those areas. And I just added one more to it, actually. So you can see on the right-hand side, all of the selected block groups show up with the basic information that we have for it. What's the tree canopy cover and what's the current score for each one. You can see these targets over here on the right-hand side. Let's say, for example, we wanted every neighborhood in this study area to have a score of 85. You can see, you can select the tree type, deciduous, broadleaf evergreen, or coniferous evergreen, and choose a specific size category, small, medium, or large. I generally, when I'm doing these, I stick to sort of a medium deciduous as a focus. Well, let's say we wanted to try to get to a score of 85 in this neighborhood that currently has a score of 68. So as you can see, I'm dragging the number of trees. And as I do, below here on the right-hand side, you'll see the number of trees targets updating and the score. So it would take around 623 trees to achieve a score of 85 in that neighborhood. We do the same thing here. In the next neighborhood, as you can see, as I mouse over this neighborhood or block group, it is highlighted on the map over here. So I've already pre-added the trees for each one of these other neighborhoods to get the score of 85. So now we have a study area where we've achieved our goal, where we now know how to achieve our goal of a tree equity score of 85 in that entire study area. So now I'm going to go ahead and click on the scenario impact report. And these are all custom built. And once you've logged into the application, there is a login process. It takes about, I would say, between 15 and 20 seconds to do. All you have to do is add your email address and create a password, and you're set. But these scenarios are actually saved, and you can share them with partners or update them along the way as you're working through your project. But I added this scenario report, and what it's done is it summarizes what's going on. We're working in Providence. There are 8 block groups in that neighborhood, and you can see the impact of those neighborhood plantings, as well as all the changes in tree equity score and the additional demographic information. And we have that for each block group. What the impact from 82 to 85 is +3, et cetera. So you see that in that entire report. I'm going to go back to the map now and come back to our study area. I'm going to zoom in a little bit further, and this is where it gets really interesting to me, is that we now can actually try to plan out how we're going to achieve those next 623 trees or additional 67 trees in a neighborhood. I'm going to target this neighborhood right now because I know we're going to run out of time. But I'm going to come right in here, zoom right up in here, and I'm going to try to identify the parcels that will help us achieve that goal. So we could plant even more than we have. So basically, it's the same process, but we're working at the parcel level. We've identified what's possible, limited tree planting to what is possible on that parcel based on the land cover data that we have. I'm just going to add a couple here and sort of spread the wealth a little bit. Whoops. Yeah. So now I've added one more parcel. I'm going to add a couple trees to this one. I'm going to add another one over here. Add a couple more trees to this one. As you can see, as I've done that, it adjusts how close we've come to our goal. I'm going to add a couple more here. And we're getting closer and closer. And you can see, you can hit that until you get to your goal. And in fact, now I've gone over our goal. That's okay. Now we've hit that 115% of our goal of 85. So we might have actually hit 86 there. And that will update your report as well. So you'll be able to see all of the places where the parcels where the planting at parcels has happened as well. So it really helps you both for planning from a citywide scale and a neighborhood scale, all the way down to getting to that, to where you can plant to achieve your goals. So I think pretty exciting, pretty powerful tool, and really excited about the response we've received in Providence, and really excited about Cassie's organization being able to use this to actually implement and impact change in the area. So I'm going to wrap things up now, so you can stop sharing my screen here. Great. And I'll just have one more slide to share before I move on. Just give you a quick update on what's next. We are building this tool to come out in May, and we're going to be doing lots more analytics and really trying to build out this really rich data set that we've been able to create for neighborhoods across the country, create this potentially first of its kind publicly available urban tree canopy data set in partnership with the University of Vermont Spatial Analysis Lab, using AI and really deep learning to provide that resource to cities that often don't have that across the country. So thank you very much.